Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. Now we're going to take a look at a Guardian Super GoBot. This is Baron Von Joy. The Baron was released in 1984. He was part of the first wave of GoBots. It would still be available in 1985, and he'd be discontinued from the line by 1986. Now, he follows a typical pattern that's seen by many of the larger GoBots. Similar to Zemon, Bugbite, and Hairfiend. He's, of course, a large car, where the front, the hood of the car forms his chest, the passenger compartment forms the head, and most of the rest of the body becomes the back. And the rear wheels are the legs, etc., etc. So it is kind of a tried and true gimmick. But hey, it worked. And as the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Or as Canadian comic Red Green put it once, and even if it is broke, don't fix it. At any rate, let's take a look at the Baron's articulation. He does have some motion in his neck, so he is allowed to turn his head. Apparently the head can turn all the way around. So he has a good full 360-degree view. There is a joint at the shoulder that does allow his arms to rotate all the way around. And he does have a double joint at the elbow, so he can bend his elbow up 90 degrees, but it goes a little further back. That's more for converting him. And he does have a joint at about his ankles, so that you can bend him, make it kind of look like he's running. And of course, similar to the Renegade Bugbite, the Baron does come with a weapon. He's one of the few GoBots that does have an actual weapon to use. And of course, let's take a look at converting Baron Von Joy. First, of course, we will remove his weapon. Start by unfastening the back portion and raise it up so it's level with his head. And then we'll slide his head back into it like so, and then bring the whole unit up and attach it to the front of the car. Then down here, I'm going to bend his legs at the ankle, fold his feet up, separate the legs from the body outwards, and slide them inward a bit before locking them into place. Then these arms, fold them backward at the elbow so that the arm rests against the forearm, and then fold it under the hood of the car. And there you have it. He's become into his alternate sports car mode, Porsche 930 Turbo, which is a very sleek, sexy looking car, especially in this gray color. I love this gray color that he comes in. And of course the black spoiler there on the back. It's almost similar to the Autobot toy Jazz from the Transformers, but Jazz is a different model. I believe Jazz is the 935, so the Baron here is a pretty close substitute in that respects. And since he's got nice rubber tires here, how well does he roll on the surface? It's not bad. Part of it depends on the age as well, because from multiple conversions, these front wheels do tend to droop out a bit like that, and then it means that the arm is dragging across the table here, so you got to kind of make sure you got the wheels in totally straight. But even in motion, gravity's going to take over, so it's not the best, but he does have a use for his weapon. We're going to take a good look at that here real quick. Got a rather nice, large, double-barreled gun. It's all in this nice, shiny chrome. Of course, it's more prone to wear for the chrome right here on this tab right here, because this tab is where his claws connect to it. Since the claws don't move, you have to kind of slide it in from the side, and as you can imagine, that does wear down the chrome a bit. But it's kind of, you got these nice bars here on the sides of the gun, so it kind of gives it more like a roof rack appearance. So you can just clip that onto the top of the car there, and you probably have the most dangerous Porsche on the road. Not only can it outrun you, but if the driver's got road rage on you, he can blast you as he goes past. It kind of looks silly, but it works. It does work. I think it's kind of cute. Now, in the Hanna-Barbera cartoon produced for the GoBots, Baron Von Joy was called instead Professor Von Joy. No real reason was given for the name change, but he did speak with a somewhat German accent. So whether they were trying to spoof it as Dr. Frankenstein or whatever, it's hard to say really where they were going with that. But in the cartoon, the Baron or the Professor, however you want to refer to him, I'm going to go with the Baron, because if I start thinking Professor, we're going to start thinking Gilligan's Island here. And the less said about that, the better. The Baron was featured prominently more as a medic or a mechanical engineer, so he sort of did the same work that Ratchet or Wheeljack did in the Transformers cartoon. So that gives him some usefulness to go on, since this, of course, was at the time when the GoBots really weren't giving us anything about the characters, so we had to take what we learned about them from the cartoon and apply it to the toy. Now we get down to my thoughts. What do I think of Baron Von Joy? I think the Baron is a top-tier toy. He looks a little bit better than many of his compatriots. I know he's the only one of the four that are like this that doesn't have chrome arms. He's got red arms, but seeing as he's got a silver car body, I think the red contrasts better with it than having an overinflux of chrome on him like the others would have. Especially when you consider his obvious equivalent on the Renegades is Bugbite. And Bugbite had more than enough chrome on him to suffice, so I think having one like this that has less, it's pretty good. It's a good idea. I also kind of like these little green decals here under the windshield. See? I don't know if that's supposed to be his eyes or what, but it just looks good. He's good on the articulation, or at least he's about what you would expect from what his compatriots have, and that works. That's just enough. That's just enough to have some fun with it. His alternate mode, beautiful. A nice, beautiful sports car from the 70s and 80s. What more could you ask for? It's just a shame that, in the sense, he's also a product of the 80s, as Porsche has announced they will no longer allow their vehicles to be licensed for war toys. So that pretty much means that if the Baron was to be remade by Hasbro, he would have to have a different car as a result of that. But of course, Hasbro's already well aware of that, since that's kind of affected what they've had to do with Jazz. Jazz can no longer be his usual alternate mode, so they've had to do stylized versions of that pay homage to the G1 version, but do not have any resemblance to the old Porsche car. So, in a ways, that's a downside. I understand their position completely on it, but this, I don't think it hurts this toy at all. It just makes for an impressive bit of history for him. But I still like it. I'm going to still go top tier on him. And that concludes my review of the Guardian GoBot Baron Von Joy. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up here on YouTube. Don't forget as well, hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already, and join up within our ranks. Please also consider sharing your thoughts on Baron Von Joy in the comments section down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I'll catch you all later.